Let's stay with Paris now, because Emmanuel Grégoire officially became the mayor of the city on Sunday. And so today, being his first full day on the job, we're going to take a look at what he says is his top priority on day one at City Hall. And for that, Solange Mougin is with me in the studio. And so, Solange, look, Emmanuel Grégoire says combating violence and sexual abuse of children is his top priority. This after after-school programs here had been linked with this. Tell us a little bit about this story and why this is so important for him.
Well, it's on the top of his agenda for a number of reasons. There's the fact that in the past few months, there has been this major scandal in Paris with multiple cases of abuse in some of the city's after-school programs, or as it's called in French, le périscolaire. So concern is high among parents in Paris, but also actually nationwide, as these extracurricular programs are part of the French system and across the country for all those under the age of 13. And in Paris, over 700 parents in 2 arrondissements, they sent a letter to the new mayor demanding that something be done, that there be an independent audit, and that the omerta, or the silence, that it ceases. Then also there's the fact that this scandal became a major part of the mayoral campaign, with the ping-ponging of blame and an instrumentalization of the issue. So this is a way for Emmanuel Grégoire to try and reassure voters that he is taking this highly mediatized issue seriously. And then also, on top of that, there's the fact that Grégoire himself courageously came out in November and explained that he himself was the victim of sexual abuse in an after-school program as a child. So it is also important to him on a personal level. He says he wants to be part of a societal and a judicial fight to break impunity over crimes against children. And finally, after-school programs, they are an area where mayors and municipalities, well, they have a lot more sway in setting guidelines and in hiring than, say, for teachers, for example, who are hired by the state or by the private school. Now, a quick note here for those that do not live in France or those that don't have kids here in France. Le périscolaire, these are most often activities that children do in the afternoon after the school day or during vacation. And it is often inside the school itself, but it is run by different teams that are hired locally by the municipality. So today, Grégoire has announced that he is in favor of an independent audit of Paris's programs. He's also said managerial decisions about city employees who did not take the complaints seriously enough will be made. And he's also meeting with parents and associations. In his inaugural speech, he reiterated that this is an absolute top priority for him.
The real battle starts now, and the first front is after-school care. We have to start again from scratch. We have to turn the system on its head. As I've said, we will and we must protect our children, and we must rebuild trust with families. We must do everything in our power to put an end to violence against children. For our schools, there will be zero tolerance.
And so, Solange, look, we are expecting new measures for after-school programs to be announced for the capital in the coming days. But is this just about Paris, or is it a much bigger issue?
Well, in addition to the reports in Paris, there are also cases across France, and this has been an issue for years, as the association SOS Périscolaire notes. So this is a collective of parents that's been tracking reports of abuse, be it negligence, physical, psychological, or sexual violence, and they've been doing this since 2021. Other associations like Me Too École or Me Too School, they have also emerged, as have hotlines and new measures to better protect children. And it is desperately needed here in France because the numbers are jaw-droppingly shocking. UNICEF says that there is the equivalent of a child being a victim of incest, rape, or sexual violence in France every 3 minutes. In 2023, there was a report on this, and it found that 81% of cases occur in the home, while 11 happen in institutions. Of that 11%, 40% are in schools and 28% in extracurricular activities. So it is important to keep in mind that the main danger zone for children is the home in regard to the staggering 160,000 cases of incest or sexual abuse in France every year. Now, the Paris cases, they have rung additional alarm bells as well nationwide.
The issue isn't so much about hearing the victims, but also how do we stop this from happening? And what do we do when it does happen? And it's clear that even today, silence is still the norm.
So where are the cracks in the system, in the current system? Well, associations say that there needs to be a change in how adults listen to children, of they're seeing the signs that something isn't right, and institutions as well, and they need to take it more seriously. But the associations also say there's a need for better training of employees so that they can analyze the behavior of the victims, but also potential perpetrators, but without entering into paranoia either, they say. In France, already there are basic checks like for new hires, like the criminal record, the sex offender list. But beyond that, there's also a hiring and a consideration problem with the actual profession on the whole of these afternoon school program leaders. The hours are broken up, the pay isn't good, there is a high turnover. In Paris, for example, of the 15,000 activity leaders, 11,000 are on short-term temp contracts, and there are some 3,000 new hires every year. So the turnaround is high. So it's very hard for municipalities to find people, to keep people, to meet guidelines. For smaller towns as well. Around 40% of smaller cities and towns, they did not officially register their programs because they can't financially meet the requirements in regard to diplomas or the number of adults per child. So it is a nationwide issue, and be it at home, at school, or in after-school activities, all kids should be safe with the adults that they're with.